So just a quick video. I just needed to vent about this because I was super stressed. The last couple of days have been something else. So if you've seen previous videos, then you might know that I suffer from PTSD and anxiety. I was diagnosed before the pandemic, but the pandemic has heightened my anxiety, especially now that most of the world has just decided to run amok and pretend it's over. Anyways, I stay home all the time. My only outing used to be going for groceries every 2 weeks, and now I order my groceries in, so I do not leave the house. So my car has been sitting in the garage for over a year. Anyway, so one day I'm making dinner and the news was on, and I heard that there was a Hyundai recall for vehicles between 2010 and 2015. Well, that's quite a range, and my car happens to fall in that range, lucky me. So I'm like, okay, well, recall, but I don't drive anyway, so don't have to worry. But anyway, so a couple of days later, I looked it up online, and you put in your VIN number, you go to the dealership, you look up your VIN number, and it tells you what recalls. Well, apparently there were two. So one was from March of this year, and it was for underbody corrosion. Now, I had a vague inkling that maybe I'd gotten a letter about that, and sure enough, I looked in my files, because I file everything away, and there was this letter from Hyundai, Special Service Campaign Notice, registered as a Transport Canada Safety Recall. So at that time, it was the vehicle may experience corrosion due to a combination of environmental conditions, lack of proper underbody maintenance. It may cause brake lines to corrode, and in extreme cases cause a loss of brake fluid. Loss of brake fluid can result in a reduction in brake performance and increase the risk of a crash. But because my car is safely parked in the garage and I never go anywhere, I wasn't too worried about it. So I filed this away, and that was that. Well, under my VIN number also now, there was this new recall dated September 22nd of this year. Anti-lock brake system module. And it says recall remedy not yet available. So they can't even fix this yet, but oh, by the way, so it says on certain vehicles, brake fluid could leak into the control module for the anti-lock brake system and cause it to short circuit. Safety risk. A short circuit could create a fire risk even while the vehicle is parked and turned off. Corrective actions. Hyundai Canada will notify owners by mail and advise you to take your vehicle to a dealership to replace the fuse for the ABS module. Hyundai Canada recommends that you park your vehicle outdoors and away from other vehicles or structures until recall repairs have been completed. So I started freaking out because now I've got a car in my garage that could randomly catch fire at any moment, even when I'm not driving it. So as somebody with PTSD, I don't know if I need to tell you, like, I'm hypervigilant of threats, so I was not too happy. So I'm like, what the hell do I do? So the car won't even start because I hadn't driven it in so long. So it would need a new battery, whatever. So that I'm going to have it towed to the dealership to get the recall stuff fixed and get a new battery, whatever else it needs. Plus I'm broke on disability, and with inflation, it's hard to make ends meet. So anyways, so I'm panicking, all this stuff. And I called my mom, and she's like, oh, maybe they can just buy it off you. I'm like, I don't want to sell my car. Like, there's no way on earth I could afford a new car. I don't want to not have a car at all because I want to know it's there for emergencies. But anyway, so it seemed like an impossible situation. But what I did, I went in the car and I took everything personal out of it just in case, because if my car's going to be towed to the dealership, I don't know when or if I'm getting it back. So I took everything out of it, cleaned it out a bit, and then I called the dealership. And she said that, like, the one recall from March, like, they can do that, but then the new one, technically they haven't even sent out the letters yet. Like, they're not ready for it. They don't even have a remedy yet. I'm like, but obviously I can't leave the car in my garage if it's a fire risk. Like, I need to feel safe and in control. The only place I feel safe is in my home. So now if I'm not even safe in my home because there's a car in my garage that, you know, could go up in flames. And I just had a nightmare the night before about a fire. And I rarely, like maybe once or twice my entire life, have I ever had a dream about fire. So anyway, this is all freaking me out. So talked to the woman at the dealership, and she sounded like she didn't want me to take the vehicle there. She said, well, can you get a neighbor to push it in your driveway? I'm like, I don't even go near my family. Like, I stay within I don't go within 100 feet of anyone. Never mind. No, I'm not going to get a neighbor to roll it into my driveway. And that's still too close to the house. And she's like, well, what about in the street? No, because the street is always full of neighbors' cars on both sides of the road. There's never anywhere to park. So no, I needed this out of here. Like, you need to bring it there. And she's like, well, I don't know when it can be fixed. I said, I'm in no hurry because I haven't driven the car in a year. But I want to know that it's away, safely away from my house, and that it's going to be fixed. So anyway, so she finally agreed, okay. So then I called the tow place, and I called, they're amazing. They're the same ones that I called back in 2021 when I was trying to get groceries and my car wouldn't start, and they were awesome. So I called those guys, and they said, yeah, they'll come and tow it to the dealership. Well, then I'm like pacing and waiting for them to come, and then everything was getting on my nerves. Like, I'm looking out the window waiting for the guy, and there's all these kids playing in the street, like little kids, and they're playing hide and seek, and they're hiding behind parked cars. And I'm like, oh my God, if one of these kids gets killed by this tow truck trailer, like, I'm going to feel responsible even though it's not my fault because they're coming from my car. So I'm like freaking out, kids, get out of the road. And I'm thinking, oh my God. So then finally the guy gets here, and sure enough, one of the kids is standing in the street, like not even moving. Like, what is wrong with people? Anyways, finally the kids get off the street, the guy's there, and then he's like, oh, it's in your garage? I'm like, yeah. He said, can you move it? I said, well, no, that's why I need a tow. If I could drive the car, I wouldn't be asking for a tow, right? So anyways, so then he had to figure out how to get it out of the driveway. He didn't want to put the 18-wheeler in the driveway because he said it could wreck the asphalt. So then he's trying to get the car out. Meanwhile, so he parks his flatbed tow in the middle of the road. Well, then some jerk off in a Lexus is coming along, and he starts honking his horn because the tow is in his way. And then he gets out of the car and he's yelling, and I'm like, and then I see the tow guy coming. I'm like, oh no, please don't have these guys get into a fight. Like, again, not my fault, but I feel responsible because they're towing my car. Anyway, so that he told the guy to leave. And anyway, long story short, too late. The guy was so nice, and he did tow my car to the dealership, but I was kind of a wreck. And then the next day I called the dealership to make sure the car was there, but they sounded like, yeah, well, we can't keep it forever. So once they've checked for the underbody corrosion and they've done that, as far as like as of right now, they don't have a remedy for the other recall. And I'm like, well, I don't feel safe having the car back if it's not safe. Like, I'm not parking it in my garage if it's going to catch fire. Oh my God. And while I was waiting for the tow, on TV, on the news, there was a house that blew up. Like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm already pacing the floor waiting for the tow because I'm worried about my car that could catch fire, and then this house blows up. So anyway, I was fit to be tied. I was a complete basket case. So now I don't know what's going to happen, and it's really stressful for me when things go wrong and it's something that I can't control and I don't know the outcome. Like, I'm hoping for a happy ending. Hopefully at the end of this, they're able to fix everything and it's safe and it runs again and it doesn't cost too much for new battery or whatever else it needs that's not covered by the recall. I don't know. And I asked the guy, because I said, you know, I haven't driven in over a year, and I said I should have been going out, you know, for trips now and then at least to give the engine a run. And I said, how often? Like, should I go out once a month, once a week? And he said once a week at least. And he said give it a good run, like on the highway, like a long trip, 45 minutes to an hour. So I don't know, like, I guess just we're gonna have to, like, once I get it back, we're gonna have to go for a drive at least now and then, even if we don't get out of the car. Because Michelle doesn't want to go anywhere, and like, we haven't even been visiting family or anything because we're so cautious. Like, but nobody worries about anything. Like, that's the other thing. There are so many recalls, like millions. Like, when I looked online, Hyundai and Kia have millions of recalls, like for new cars, even this year, because a lot of the EV, the electric vehicles, they're bursting into flame. Something about the battery. With a lot of cars, like even the tow guy said he's got a Ford and he's had recalls. So like, these things happen all the time and most people don't worry. But to me, as soon as I hear like risk of fire, like, oh hell no, I'm not having that near my house. So it's scary to me. Like, I worry about everything and I try to control what I can, but there's things that I can't control, and it's frustrating, and so I was a mess, and I just wanted to vent about this because, I mean, here, this is a safety issue. Like, they know that, you know, your car, you have anywhere from 2010 to 2015 Hyundai, and, you know, it could leak brake fluid, and it could short circuit and catch fire even while it's parked. You know, like the house that I saw on the news, they didn't know why the house blew up, but what if it was because of a car in the garage, whatever. Just like, that's not okay. I can't just relax and let that go. And they wanted to just kind of brush it off like, oh, well, we're going to send a letter advising people to park in the street. Well, no, that's not an option. Like, I don't want it anywhere near my house or anyone else's car, anything, if there's any risk. Plus, leaving a car in the driveway all the time, like, cars are getting broken into, cars are getting stolen. Plus, if they're left outside, like, that's one of the things back in 2021 when the car wouldn't start, I left it out in the driveway too long. If it's in the heat too long, it's not good for an old car. Or if it's in the cold or in the rain, anything. So I thought it's safe in the it's safe in the garage, you know, when I'm not using it, but then it's not safe. So anyway, just wanted to do a video about this because I've been so stressed, and yeah, with my anxiety, I don't deal well with unpleasant surprises. But I mean, if I hadn't seen that on the news, I wouldn't have even known about the recall, and the car's been sitting there for a year. So I mean, that's not okay that they're not warning people. And of course, like the tow driver, you know, pointed out, of course the dealership is not super anxious to let people know about this because it's going to cost them a fortune, because they have to do repairs and they pay for it. Like, whenever they do a recall repair, it's free. So if they've got to repair millions of vehicles, and there's so much going on, like even in the US now with the United Auto Workers strike, and I don't know, like, things are falling apart. And my mom thought I should just sell the car, but then I won't have a car at all. And God knows I'll never be able to have one again, because there's no way I could afford a new car. And I mean, really, this is an old car, but it could last me another 10 years if I'm only driving it occasionally. Like, once it's fixed, you know, I can make it last a long time. I used to commute a lot. Like, for work, I used to be driving all the time, like a couple of hours a day. But now I don't go anywhere. So anyways, hopefully this all gets sorted. Got a headache in my eyebrow and my eye. I was surprised I didn't break out in hives, especially when I was pacing, and all that stuff with the tow driver and the kids in the road, and like all these things that I can't control, they drive me crazy. But anyway, hopefully it all turns out okay. So thanks for listening. Bye for now. Take care.